Sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, with opening day upon us, I want to take this time to give you my last installment of my division by division breakdowns for the upcoming MLB season. And of course, last but certainly not least, it's the American League Central. We saw this division won last year by the Cleveland Guardians by one game over the Detroit Tigers. But will we see the Guardians be able to hold off the Tigers once again? We've seen the Tigers get to the postseason in each of the last 2 years. You got to wonder if now that they're going to be the favorites to finally win this division once again, if the Tigers are going to do something, okay, their pitching is going to be a big reason why. This could be the final year for Tarik Skubal in the Tigers uniform. But nonetheless, he's looking to join the greats like Greg Maddux and Randy Johnson as the only pitchers in MLB history to win the Cy Young Award in 3 consecutive years. But unlike Maddox and Johnson, he would be the first one to do it in the American League. Skubal has been dominant as dominant could be in this current era of baseball. Okay. And I expect him to once again have a big year because this is his walk year. All right. Aside from Tarik Skubal, the return of Justin Verlander to Detroit. Now, he just turned 43 years of age, but we know that he's clearly not the pitcher that he was when the Tigers traded him to the Houston Astros back in 2017. But his return to the Motor City will allow us, or allow him rather, to see his Hall of Fame career come full circle. Now, only Mickey Lolich has struck out more batters while wearing a Tigers uniform than Verlander. Just gives you an idea of the company that he's in. And aside from paying Scuball the enormous $32 million in arbitration for this year, Detroit also signed another former Astros pitcher and Framber Valdez. They gave him 115 million for 3 years. So you've got two quality lefties at the top of your rotation if you're the Tigers. Okay, Casey Mize, he won 14 games last year for the Tigers. Will he be able to build off of that? Okay, for Tigers manager AJ Hinch, what's he going to be able to get out of this offense that was middle of the pack in the American League a year ago? Now, make no mistake about it, the Tigers have some power bats in their lineup with the likes of Riley Green and Spencer Torkelson. And then, you never know what you're going to get from Javi Baez and Gleyber Torres because these are two streaky guys. But nonetheless, I think the Tigers are once again going to be in the mix to win this division. You've got the Kansas City Royals, who, after making the playoffs in 2024, they were consistently inconsistent last year. But you got to wonder if things are going to be different this time around. Their chances for success definitely start and end with Bobby Witt Jr. Bobby Witt Jr. is an MVP caliber type player. Okay, that's how good that he is for the Royals. It's just a matter of the guys around him also being able to consistently contribute. You've got Sal Perez, who at 35 years of age, he still can get it done at the plate, behind the plate catching, and also at the plate with his bat to the point that he only needs 15 home runs to surpass the great George Brett to become the Royals' all-time leader in that category. Will Kansas City be able to get another big season from first baseman Finney Pasquantino? Nonetheless, we saw him go yard 32 times last year, and he was a big part of the success that Team Italy had in the World Baseball Classic. Now, last year, the Royals pitching staff was fourth in the American League in team ERA and quality starts. But Michael Waka was the only starter to win 10 games, believe it or not. We got to see some more out of this Kansas City rotation this year if they're going to get back to the playoffs. And for Royals manager Matt Quatraro, it's going to be interesting to see if he's going to be able to push all of the right buttons to get the Royals back to the postseason. I talked about the Guardians winning this division last year. I think they're once again going to be in the mix under the watchful eye of manager Stephen Vogt. The Guardians, they're looking to make it three division titles in a row, of course. Pitching is once again going to be a key. Last year, Cleveland had the second lowest team ERA in the American League. You got some quality arms in this rotation with the likes of Gavin Williams, Logan Allen, Slade Ciccone, and Tanner Bibee. But then the bullpen as well is solid for Cleveland with the likes of Hunter Gaddis and Cade Smith. You've got a very interesting lineup for the Guardians, which includes the likes of veteran Jose Ramirez. And the bottom line is Cleveland just goes out there and continues to win games. And this is why I think they're going to be in the mix. Then we got the Minnesota Twins. Okay. First year for them after they moved on from Rocco Baldelli as the manager. They brought in former Pittsburgh Pirates manager Derek Shelton, who himself never had success in Pittsburgh, never had a winning record in his 5+ years there. Okay. For Byron Buxton, we saw him have a career best 35 home runs last season. Will he be able to build off of that? But aside from Buxton, where's the production in this lineup for Minnesota going to come from? Joe Ryan was, to me, the lone bright spot for this Twins rotation last year. Will that once again be the case? But we saw the Twins lose 92 games last year, and I think they're going to struggle once again this year. And then, speaking of struggling, there's the Chicago White Sox, who right now are in their own category because the last 3 summers have been very brutal for this team and their fan base. 3 consecutive years where we've seen the White Sox lose at least 100 games, a combined 324 losses, to be exact, over that time frame. 2 consecutive last place finishes in the Central. But there could be some hope for the White Sox because they're in the process of beginning that transition from the ownership reign of Jerry Reinsdorf to Justin Ishbia. And you got to wonder if there's finally some hope for things to get turned around on the south side of Chicago. You've got second baseman Lenine Sosa, but he's probably one of the few, or maybe the only bright spot for this White Sox team. They were near the bottom of most offensive categories in the American League last year. No White Sox starting pitcher made at least 30 starts, as they were dead last in the AL in quality starts with just 41. So for manager Will Venable and the White Sox, they're looking to avoid their fourth consecutive 100 loss season. And if the Sox were to do that, they join the likes of the Mets, the Washington Senators, and the Boston Braves as being franchises that have lost 100 games or more in 4 consecutive seasons. I do not expect the White Sox to compete, but I will say this: if they can somehow find a way to not lose at least 100 games this year, I think that would be a huge shot in the arm for one of the oldest yet beleaguered franchises in all of baseball. I think this is once again going to be a tight race between the Tigers and the Guardians. I think the Royals will be improved, but I mean, I just love the pitching that the Tigers have right now. And again, I think the fact that this is the walk year for Tarik Skubal, he's going to come up big. I think even at the state of the game, Verlander back in the Tigers uniform could have something to give. I think he's going to be more of a coach for that pitching staff than anything else. And he's going to, help a guy like Skubal and help a guy like Valdez as well. But nonetheless, I think the Guardians are going to be right there. But I'm going to give the slight edge to the Tigers to win the Central. But folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. And as always, if you like what you heard and saw in this podcast, you know what to do, folks. Just hit that like button as well as subscribing to this channel. And like I always say, it's greatly appreciated. Also, if you are on the X, formerly known as Twitter, you can check me out anytime at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you give me that follow, it will be my pleasure to do the same in return. And that also goes for Instagram, where you can check me out at 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge. Also, if you're on Facebook, definitely be sure to check out the Sports Depot 365. And as far as I'm concerned, one of the better sports groups going on social media. But until next time, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I am signing off. And I'm saying thanks once again for checking out the 300 Pounds Sports Knowledge Podcast here on YouTube. Be well, everybody.